Today's episode features Jared Smith, former NFL player who entered real estate for his personal investments. What started as a personal project to figure the business out for himself quickly turned into something much bigger, a full-time career that's now expanding internationally. In this conversation, Jared talks about bringing an athlete's mentality into real estate, the discipline to show up every day, knowing someone else is always ready to take your spot, and the snowball up the mountain reality of building a business where momentum only comes from constant effort. If you want to hear what it really takes to stay in the game and keep growing, this one's for you. Let's jump in. I'm excited today to have Jared Smith with us. And Jared has lots of great life stories that we're going to hopefully get to hear all about. But I want to say welcome, Jared. We're glad to have you here on Just Show Up.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely exciting. It's I do a lot of this too, so I totally get it. But it's definitely lots of stories
It is.
for sure.
And I think you and I could probably spend hours and hours like sharing those stories back and forth
Yeah.
since this is what we both do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm sure we can relate to pretty much everything.
Yes. Yes. So tell me a little bit about your journey to get into real estate. And you can throw in the stories that got you to that point too. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I'm a retired NFL player. In 2016, I retired with Tony Romo, and I got my real estate license just for my investments and kind of work on my own projects itself. And so when I did that, I didn't trust realtors. I just had a bad experience when I'm in another state, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it because I'm retired. I want to do this. And so I did. And then I joined groups with a partner. I don't know if you know Robert Mesh.
Yes.
Yeah. So I joined partners with Robert initially, and just to hang my license, just have a place. And then again, I just focused on my own self. And then literally next couple weeks, I've had NFL players, a lot of people ask if I can help them because they didn't want to work with a realtor. And I'm like, well, no, because I'm just doing this for my own self. I wasn't doing that. And so as a favor, I did. And then one thing led to another of helping a lot of professional athletes. And that's what I kind of focus on now. I work with a lot of professional sports organizations here in Dallas. It turned into this massive thing that I never knew was going to turn into. So here I am. And
That's a good thing. And it's funny, there's the part of me that wants to make a connection between you and some of the individuals who get into real estate because they want to do it kind of for their own investment purposes. And while there's that connection, the rest of us didn't play pro football. So that one is hard for us to connect
No,
on.
for sure. I mean, there's something different. And I tell a lot of my rookie agents as well, my path is going to be different from everyone else's. And so is everyone else's journey.
Yes.
I think it's just trying to find something that's tailored to you because again, they're wanting to work with you and not the actual company itself. So you have to have something to yourself to kind of market to attract people, and everyone has their own niche, their own way of kind of doing that. And so, of course, me playing football in Texas, where football's king, I mean, it's not that hard to break ice with other people, especially potential clients and stuff, because I end up taking pictures with majority of the clients before anything, before I get a contract signed or anything. So, but yes, I mean, it's definitely, I utilize the professional sports part of it to help for sure. I mean, I'm not going to hide that. It definitely helps. But again, I tell all my other rookie agents to try to find something for you to find, everyone will have their own way, finding your own way.
Finding your own way, finding your own niche. And it really is different for everyone. I mean, I've worked with thousands of agents over the years, and what might have worked for me may not be what works for you, vice versa, what works for, and am a big believer in the things that are tried and true from many, many years ago, because it is a relationship building process that we go through. I mean, we're helping people make the biggest purchase or biggest sale that they will likely ever make in their entire life. So I'm still big on the basics, but what works for one may not work for someone else.
Sure.
So you kind of have to find that niche that works for you. I'm excited that you've found a niche and I know it's not all of your clients, but you are able to serve a community that I'm sure makes connection with you based upon some shared history. And those retired or current players look at you and go, "Okay, dude, you already understand some of the things that are of concern to me, so you get to jump ahead," where
Yeah.
not every agent could do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I do, I still am involved with the Dallas Cowboys every year. So I still talk to all the rookies, the veterans, and all that kind of stuff. So I do have the pleasure of doing that and kind of helping them learn because again, it is the biggest purchase and it just maintaining the biggest thing with dealing with professional sport players that people don't understand. It's two things. The one big thing that I get comments on with other realtors is that they ask or are too involved with their professional life. When they do that, it's a huge turnoff. It is because they do football 24/7. You only have two months off. You make it to the Super Bowl, you have one good, I don't know, maybe 40 days off, and then you're right back at it. A lot of these
And your
guys
job
are,
is not a 9 to 5 job. So when you're
yeah.
on, you are on every moment.
Well, most of the time we get asked questions about, what was it like and all this stuff. And to this day, I still do. It's like an audio recorder. You just hit play and just it plays out of your mouth because you get asked a question so many times. And it's not engaging for us in a way, but with other players, we can kind of relate with other people that we played with. The locker room talk that was going on and, kind of have a little bit more down to earth kind of, what I experienced. Cause I mean, it's a lot different from when I played.
Mhm.
So we like to talk about. I still hang out with quite a few of a lot of these guys actually, and we talk about all this stuff, the stuff in the past, the stuff. That's a huge part of it. The other part is understanding their schedule. Me being involved in professional sports allows me to understand what their schedule is, and so there's definitely appropriate steps to kind of take to kind of allow you're not kind of blowing up their phone in a way because you
Uh-huh.
do understand the schedule. I mean, it's pretty much the same every single team around the whole entire league. It's pretty similar, just different coaches. But
Mhm.
those are the really two big ones where it kind of helps me out and benefits me because I understand both of those. And so it's not hard for me to kind of be around a lot of those guys.
Mhm. And so I understand you're also doing some international work now too, right? How do you plug that in? That intrigues me as well.
It's a untapped market, and with connections, it just allows me to kind of develop a little bit more international business as well. It's challenging,
Mhm.
I think that's one thing that everyone deals with is everyone, no matter what phase you're at, no matter how experienced you are, you'll develop some kind of plateau in your career. And you can have multiple plateaus. And I think
You
it's
can. I was
important.
just thinking that. And
Yeah.
with a long road, you'll hit multiples. You'll get over
Yeah.
one and you'll be great for a while
That's
and then
right.
you'll find another one.
Yeah. I mean, once you hit a goal, you'll have another goal. Once you hit that goal, you'll have another one. And there's sometimes it's hard to kind of get to that point. And that's kind of where I've been plateaued on trying to get so close so many times of my goal is to get a certain amount sold every year. And I just come so close, but I lose to international business. So I developed a international system to kind of go out there and overseas and kind of bring those clients in to try to overcome that plateau. So it's just something I'm kind of incorporating to try to earn more business, of course, but develop more connections and more networking as well to try to overcome that goal. So it's just a personal goal.
But it's smart too, because I just heard you say, you look at something that's a little bit different. And that is the way to get to our next goal, whatever that may be, or get
Yeah.
over that plateau is simply to think a little outside the box that you've been living in, whatever that box is. Just think a little bit outside the box for how to get to the next level.
Yep. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, throughout your whole entire career, people kind of understand that. The biggest thing I've dealt with agents is they get afraid that they hit one and they feel like all hell is breaking loose. And they just need to understand it comes from understanding from hearing other people talk about like I'm also in that phase. And there's going to be a lot of people kind of in that phase and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a true way you can feel growth, because when you hit that plateau, you want to grow. And again, it's not that you're doing bad. You know, a lot of these guys are doing figures and they're still trying to hit another goal, you know?
Yes.
It's a never ending thing. You know, like I tell what everyone else is like, you know, the biggest thing about this business is it's a snowball effect uphill and it stays uphill. There is no downhill because, you know, it's just a constant uphill because once you hit another goal, it goes up more and you just keep wanting to hit those goals. And so it's a very cyclic thing. And it's just hard to kind of, you have to kind of fuel it, you know, with a lot of client relations and networking and expanding and kind of learning how to just grow bigger in general. And hearing it from other agents or brokers will definitely help.
It does. So thinking back to when you first got licensed, when you first got into as you were transitioning careers, what was the biggest surprise for you in getting your real estate license and then getting started in the business? What came as a surprise or the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
Biggest surprise, I think everyone can relate to this, especially experienced ones, how easy it is to get your license. It's surprisingly, it's not, I thought it was going to be a lot harder, honestly, but honestly, it just wasn't. But it's also, I think the biggest thing is kind of turning your mind into when to turn your mind into family and then switching it to business because you don't want to mix the two. And so because like when you go home at night, you don't want to be talking business and business. So learning how to manage both kind of lives is it's challenging for sure because it is overwhelming because again you do have to be available. And that's the biggest thing with real estate is because you know I can kind of compare it to football because when you're playing ball, you know, if you mess up, you know, you can, there's always someone behind you waiting to take your place. And I give that perspective to this because it's the same thing. There's, you know, someone behind you that's wanting to take your business as well. Because again, it is sales. At the end of the day, as much people want to say it's we network and you know, at the same time you're taking off other people's plates too. So it just there is some kind of competitive aspect of it where um it's learning to be obviously competitive, but learning how to be too aggressive. You don't want to come off too aggressive with other people. But at the end of the day, it is you know a very competitive thing, and that's why I like to tie with football and real estate because it is. At the end of the day, it is. And when you deal with the whole real estate aspect, is you know you're fighting to get another deal done, and in your in every listing appointment, there's always three or four other people who are all they're also interviewing, and so there is competitive nature to it, and it can be challenging for people. But for me, I definitely I love it. There's nothing about I love it.
I've never heard that analogy made, and yet it's such a great analogy because you're right. There's someone on the bench or at another team who's ready to come in if you don't perform, and even the kind of being on all the time. When you're on, you're on. Hopefully, you can turn it off to get some sleep, get some rest, spend time
Yep,
with family. Um,
it's hard.
but when we go to network, the question is always some version of how's the real estate market. So we are asked that in personal settings, in professional settings. It is the question that comes all the time, much like I'm sure you still get football questions all the
Yeah,
time.
for sure. No, it's definitely kind of like that. I mean, I get asked. The cool thing with me is I can not have to talk about real estate with a lot of people because most of the time it is about football. It's about something
You have the
people
other
that
subject that they
exactly. It does
land
make it
on.
easier. No, it does. It makes it a lot easier. So, and I'm not saying that, you know, again, it might be easier for me versus other people because I do have that part of it. But again, everyone has some aspect in their what they've done in the past to kind of, you know, have a conversation with because not everyone wants to talk about real estate when you're trying to meet a potential client. You're also trying to find something you have in common, something you can expand upon. And network. You can relate to people. You're just trying to be human at the very end of the day, and not a salesy kind of a person, you know? So learning how to adjust that, it is hard for sure.
At least you have an easy topic because anyone in Texas loves football.
Yeah. But
Former
it's the
season
other
ticket
thing
holder
too.
here myself.
There's
So
a lot of people who don't like Dallas.
there are, and then there are people
Yeah,
who
for
absolutely
sure.
love the team no matter
Yeah.
what.
No, for sure. I mean, if I'm at an event or something like a charity event, I get either asked two things. I get asked if it's never a football player first, which is funny. I get asked if I'm a be a wrestler more than anything.
Okay.
And depending on the person, I will mess with them, you know. But I will get asked if I'm a WWE wrestler most of the time, and then sometimes I will get recognized as a football player because being a offense lineman, we don't get recognized that much, which is kind of nice. I like that part of it. I could imagine being like a quarterback or something like that where people really know who you are. That's not me. I had the fun journey and stuff like that, but I know those guys really well who are very well known. I couldn't have that schedule because they can't leave their house or I just people bugging you. It's not me. I can't do it.
There are a few current and past players who are recognized no matter where they go, and
Yeah.
that would be hard.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I know guys who played 20 years ago and they still get recognized walking down the road. And yet I'm standing there and they have no idea who I am and I'm just happy. So
They're
yeah,
like,
I mean it's definitely nice for sure. But you know, I growing up in a really small town in Pennsylvania because I'm not from here.
okay,
And you know, I just like I like the country life kind of thing. You know, that's me. We grew up in a really small town and so I'm not a big fan of people pointing fingers at me and stuff like that. I don't go to two football games. I've never been to one as like as a spectator or
okay.
a audience member. I've never been to one. High school level, college level, professional level. Never been to them. I get free tickets whenever I want. Just never go. So it's a very odd topic, but my wife goes a lot, so she definitely takes those tickets and goes.
That's fun. I grew up in small town Oklahoma, so I understand the difference of what you mean too. And I appreciate the differences that it gives us from being from small town. Don't get me wrong. I love the especially business abilities and opportunities that we have in a giant metropolitan area like DFW, but I love my roots from the small town.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, it's definitely I mean, I still live in a smaller town now, which is kind of nice. So it's definitely peace of mind. But I drive to Frisco every day, so I'm totally fine with
Mhm.
it. You know, it's a place for me to kind of to decompress and kind of get away a little bit. So I do enjoy it a lot.
That's good. Frisco used to be that small town, but
Used to
not
be.
anymore.
I've I've seen pictures. Yeah, it's crazy how fast it's growing, but the crazy thing is how much there is land to just develop even more. I
There
mean, there's
is.
just so much land. And so the growth of this area will just there's still probably 30 to 40 years of growth left to even do, and which is a crazy ton amount. And because a lot of these bigger guys own a lot of the land, like the Hunt family, the Jones family, and they're holding
Yes.
off and they can control who's coming in, which is smart. They can kind of control the market to kind of impact their own and raise prices for sure. But I mean, the fact that there's so much land to kind of develop, it's really interesting to see what this place will look like, you know, even 10 to 20 years from now for sure.
I bought my house in Frisco. I've been in real estate for 25 years. But I bought my house in Frisco, second house in Frisco, but this one 16 years ago. And just seeing the difference in the city of Frisco between 16 years ago today, it's incredible. And we see that happening in the cities as you go further north, Prosper and Salina, and continue up north toward Oklahoma, and we just see that growth. It's amazing. I love it. I enjoy it. I
Yeah.
enjoy that we get to help people with that growth, but it is definitely something to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the city council did a really good job of managing all that and the growth. I mean, obviously Jerry Jones had a lot to do with it,
He
but
did.
yeah, but the biggest thing is the city allowed a lot of pretty attractive tax incentives for them to, for example, Toyota and PGA Tour and
Hmm.
Universal Studios. They're giving good tax incentives to make a reason to move here because they do want to grow. They want a reason to give to people to travel to. And so I think as this grows, we'll start seeing more entertainment um, for sure. Like Universal Studios, there'll be more of something else coming in for sure. It just they're trying to make it such a touristy kind of area because Dallas Cowboys attract a lot of that alone just to that area. So building off of that would be you'll start seeing a lot more growth for sure.
So we talked about goals and hitting plateaus and meeting goals and you opening your vision to do some international business as well. Do you have something on the horizon as far as your next goal to hit or continuation on the same path?
It's more of a monetary value more than anything. I mean, that's all it is. It just, how far can this go? I'm always curious. But I mean, I think that's honestly it. You know, it just, I'm always excited to see the business kind of expand and grow. And so it's just kind of, seeking the amount that we close per year, it's just really amazing to kind of see. So, I mean, just the growth alone, it just keeps me motivated and fueled to kind of, have another goal after that and another goal. Cause again, you're in sales. So if you don't have those goals, you're probably not going to be as successful as people who do have goals. And your goals doesn't have to be big. A lot of people think their goals have to be huge, but there's no point of having big goals if you can't hit some of these smaller goals, because these smaller goals is what fuels you to kind of get to that big goal. And I think a lot of people lose sight on these big goals that they have and these expectations that it's hard to do, and if you don't meet those, then you're not going to have the motivation to do it, because you're in your mind you feel like you're failing. So I think it's more of a mental part for sure.
It is. And, we're taught to have BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals. And we're taught about that. And I think for some, that is easy to set that giant goal and just have that goal as the one thing that they put on the whiteboard that they look at all day, every day. And then for some, they really need to break it down and say, okay, well, how do I get there? And then you look at those as small goals. So if there's 5 tasks that you have to do every day or once a week, even to be able to try to chip away at getting to that goal, then look at those as 5 smaller goals. And it's speaking to yourself in the way that you need to be able to set the goal and then work to achieve it. I've always, when I'm asked a question like I just asked you, I sometimes will just say double. Whatever today's number is, double is the goal. And that's easy for me to say because I always see double as an achievable goal. But that's not always easy for someone else to do. You have to
For
set the
sure.
goal that makes sense for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone has their paths are very different in this. I mean, you see a lot of younger agents who aren't they're still trying to build that referral system up, because it's just one of those you have to it's a lot of people realize like how long it takes to kind of develop that, because it does take, probably a good 2 to 3 years to kind of get that fuel, that cyclic thing kind of coming. And I think people lose sight in how long it really takes, and they kind of you see a lot of people in it for a year or two, and I've witnessed it. I've seen a lot of people doing it for 1 year and 2 years, and they just stop because it's not working. And I've seen the one person who hasn't done well and then pushing that third year, and everything changed.
Mhm.
And it's just trusting in the system, and it's a long play. It's never a short play. That I mean, and there are some people where they get in it and they're off on it and they're doing great, but it's not
Yes.
like that for everyone.
Right. I usually compare that to like, building a house. You have to build that foundation and
Yeah,
you want the foundation to be solid. And that takes a little while. And then all of a sudden you start to put up, the walls and it starts to look like it's taking shape. And then all of a sudden it seems like every step goes a little faster. But that foundation is very, very important. And it doesn't happen
for sure.
overnight.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it definitely takes time, but I think people's expectations when they first get their license are, of course, their striving and their hunger. They want that. They just want that. They just want that meal. They want to eat. And but at the same time, there's a lot of process that goes along with it in order to kind of get that. And it can be very unmotivating for a lot of people at first, because it does start out slow for majority of the people, but for some others it can pick up quick, and it's different.
That's also where I can imagine that you're being an athlete history and knowing it doesn't happen overnight and you have to keep at it and you you have to commit to it and do it every day and continue to all of the practice and you don't and that's another thing too. You don't ever hit a point where you get to go, okay, I'm done. I'm set. This is all I have to do now. No, you still have to practice. You still have to
Yeah, I
show
mean,
up every day.
yeah, it's one of those things like it brings back to the whole snowball thing. it's an uphill battle every day. I mean, it never stops. The moment you do stop, the harder it is to get that ball from rolling again. So momentum in this business is huge. And I think it's hard for people to kind of to understand that. And, it's just keeping that momentum in that grind every day. It is challenging because for us, working for myself, it is easy to take time off. And me, I've had a lot of success in this this business alone, but at the same time, I would love to have some time off, because I'm working so much. Even I don't even have time off. If I'm on the road or if I'm on a plane, I'm working and it's exhausting, but it's a grind, but it's understanding doing it every day is what's making that ball roll up the hill even more.
Continue to push up. So, along that lines, I always like to ask the question, what's the one thing that you must always show up for? What is the thing that you feel like you always have to show up for?
Relationships and conversations. That's the hardest one because if you're not talking to people, you're not building a pipeline. And that pipeline is very important. And the moment, again, the part of that snowball effect of keeping that thing rolling uphill. And it's expanding and networking with a bunch of people because you can't just rely on, people and referrals and, just your tight knit group. You have to kind of get out there, do a bunch of events and trying to meet people and trying to earn their trust because relationships it's what drives this thing. It's what fuels it.
It is.
So every day I focus on connecting with people, past clients, new clients or referral partners around the US, trying to see what they have going on. And it's just a never ending thing.
It is. It is. It is. Anything that you would want to, that we haven't covered or that you would want to leave our viewers with today? Just any thoughts that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that'll help a lot of agents is understanding. I think the plateauing thing is huge, is understanding that everyone experiences, many very, very, very experienced agents will have many of those. Because if you're not having those, you're not growing or wanting to grow. The moment you're satisfied, that ball gets harder to roll up. So I think it's a positive thing to learn because you're always trying to learn how to grow. You're always trying to learn how to expand. You're always trying to learn how to reach more people if it's via social media, in person, or networking, or at events. It's just getting out there and learning that you can make that change. And that's the one thing I love about hitting a plateau. It excites me more because allows me to change it, and it allows me to get creative and think outside the box. And I think that's what's kind of really important for people to understand is it's okay. I mean, everyone's is gonna hit those, but the biggest thing is having smaller goals to achieve that are achievable, shall I say,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
unrealistic goals, because that motivates you to reach that big goal.
To push through.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I have enjoyed this conversation today, and not just because I'm a former season ticket holder, but I've enjoyed the conversation. I love hearing how agents can kind of transition careers from whatever career they come from into ours and make those analogies just as you did today. So I appreciate that and thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we have yeah, if you ever need anything, just give me a shout. We have our own, so I'm always doing all these. So I'm definitely, available for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks for being here today.
No worries. It was a pleasure.
This episode has been sponsored by HomeSmart Stars. Agents, do you feel unseen, unheard? Maybe wish you had better commission? Maybe wish that you were welcomed and encouraged to just show up as you are and be your true authentic self and have all the training and support and tools to help you thrive in your real estate career? If so, then you need to reach out to HomeSmart Stars and make HomeSmart Stars your home for real estate.